good morning, afternoon, whatever time of day it is. It's both. It's both. It is actually the afternoon, but you know, it's a scoop. So good morning. How is everyone doing? Welcome to twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. I may be eating. I may be eating, but yeah, I may not. Anyway, this guy's clearly eating. Look at that.
A toffee.
How is everyone doing today? How are we all doing? Are we all good? Are we all good? Apologies for the lateness. We did mention this earlier on in the week, though. Baby was having stuff. I can't remember exactly why the electric was off, but he's having stuff done. And it's been done, and now we are back. So not quite 10 a.m.-ish today, seeing as it's almost 12:30. So good afternoon, not good morning. How are we all doing? Lake is in the chats, as is Gagad. Madge, Mr. T, oh my god, what an intro, electric. I'm buzzing, he says. I did. Was that a social conversation whilst I was working? I did see notifications popping up. I didn't actually click onto any of them yet. So there we go. For the benefit of the chat, cheers. Realist United says, how are you all? Morning. Good morning. Well, it will be morning for you, so yeah, good morning. Great Dutch says, the ice cream man is coming. Hey, welcome back, Great Dutch. Lake says, good whatever to everyone. Exactly. Hi, robot. Oh, is he doing the robot thing again? Is it? Let me check. Is it? Okay. I thought when you said hi robot, I thought you was gonna. Has it gone? Has it fixed? Did it just disappear? I've never known it fix itself. That's pretty good. I'll take that. Anyway, for everyone that is new here, welcome in. I've just mentioned my name is Graham. This is Bibby, and we together are Ice Cream Uploads. In true ice creamy fashion, this is your scoop. A little bit later than usually planned, but we are going to give you our thoughts and impressions from the biggest, the best, and the breaking stories from the world of video games on this, the UK's #1 video game podcast, even if we do say so ourselves. But anyway, if you are in the chat, please feel free to get involved, because like I said, we're going to give you our thoughts and impressions on those stories, but we want your thoughts and impressions on our thoughts and impressions. And I don't know what Baby's face was doing then. That caught me off guard. But yeah, we're going to give you our thoughts and impressions on those stories. We want your thoughts and impressions on our thoughts and impressions, so that we can have a little bit of a discussion, a narrative, a back and forth. And it's important that if you're in the chat, you do take on that mantle, because we have people listening and watching on demand. We turn this live stream, we go live each and every single weekday at 10 a.m.-ish, and it's a big-ish today, with it being 12:30. But we turn it into a podcast, a video on youtube.com, and an audio podcast on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Play. So if you're in the chat, use your voice on behalf of everyone watching, listening on demand later on. A little bit of housekeeping. Exclamation mark 2K in the chats. We are ever closer to 2K followers than we have ever been before. I think, I don't know, 15, 16, 17 followers away now. So close, very close. Once 17. We hit... Is that what it is? 17 followers away. So once we hit 2,000 followers... Mr. T has just gifted a sub. Forgetting followers, we're talking subs right now. Mr. T, Realist United, enjoy the gifted sub. I mean, one United fan gifted another. You just love to see it, because that's the only joy we have in our lives right now. Much appreciated, Mr. T, you absolute hero. Realist United, enjoy the sub. Feel free to thank Mr. T as well. Can't remember what I was saying. Oh, that was it. 2K. So when we hit 2K followers, we will do a giveaway, as well as that, subscribers. If you're a subscriber, on the 7th of November, you will be in for a chance of December, should I say? You will be in for a chance of winning next month's loot drop. So, I mean, the great news for Realist United is that he gets a sub. The bad news is that it'll run out on the 6th of November. Look at the date. Oh, gutted. But if you are a sub, next month's loot drop will be for a cool prize. We haven't announced what it is yet, but you can probably guess if you read between the lines. Punks. That's all we're going to say. So yeah, anyway, no more beating around the bush. We will try to pick up the pace and get through this, because we still have Masters of the League, which usually starts now. So that's going to be back, obviously. So that will follow this, but we'll try to pick up the pace and keep going through it. Okay, first news story of the day. You may have seen this if you have been looking at the Ice Cream Upload social media. So we obviously tweet out the main story of the day, and today's story is written by Tech Radar, a site that doesn't... Oh, fuck's sake, Chrome! It's... Change the window... Go back to Chrome. Not okay. Okay, Chrome, where are you? I wonder if it's like me putting it full screen. I don't know.
That surely shouldn't be it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always
Yeah.
done it like that, so it can't be. It must just be an issue. Anyway, I have it back. Just need to reset the source every time I'm in. Did it yesterday on the PUBG stream as well. But anyway, written by Michael Hicks at Tech Radar, the PS5 is stuck at 667 gigabytes, question mark. Sony confirms PlayStation 5 won't have an expandable SSD storage at launch. So if you're waiting for compatible M2 SSDs and a Sony PS5 firmware update. So jumping into the article, it says, a day after we learned that the PS5 internal storage may be capped at 667 gigabytes, Sony has confirmed that we'll have to live with that amount of space for a while. While the console will eventually get expandable SSD storage, you won't be able to buy any at launch, nor in the near future. Sony confirmed today that the PS5's internal slot for M2 SSDs is disabled by default, reports The Verge, so nothing will happen if you slot one inside. Sony will activate the functionality in a future update, but gives no indication of when this will be. Here's why this is a concern. With each new next-gen game announcement, we're learning just how massive PS5 game install sizes are. So far, we know that Demon's Souls sits at 66 gigabytes. Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales hits up to 105 gigabytes for the Ultimate Edition, and Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War was revealed today to be 133 gigabytes. Put together, those three games would take up around 45% of your SSD storage space, assuming the 667 gigabytes usable storage leak is accurate. And in the massive number of titles confirmed on our PS5 games list, and if their beautiful graphics are anything to go by, you'll likely need a dozen terabytes to host them all. That doesn't mean you can't play as many PS5 games as you can afford. You'll just need to be more careful about deleting games once you're done playing them to help your internal SSD fit your latest purchases. Our only hope is that Sony will make that storage update soon and that the cost for a compatible M2 SSD won't be too high. In more positive storage news, Sony released a video today, see below, detailing all the different ways to transfer your old PS4 games data to your new console, including using an Ethernet cable or attaching an external HDD, so at least your backwards compatible games won't take up even more precious space. And then the final bit, so why the PS5 expandable SSD delay? Well, in March 2020, Sony hardware architect Mark Cherney gave a presentation outlining some of the upcoming console's innovations. This included a discussion about expandable storage and the timeline for when the console would support it. Cherney says the catch of inserting a commercial SSD into the PS5 is that it must be at least as fast as ours, meaning it needs to hit 5.5 gigabytes per second. He said that certain PCIe 4.0 SSDs can now hit up to 7 GB, but these devices may not physically fit inside the PS5 slot because there's no standard height for an M2 drive, and Sony have some of their own heat sinks or fans that make them too wide. The PS5 may also need to do some work in reprioritizing the external SSD to work with its architecture, so it may need to be much higher than 5.5 gigabytes per second in pure specs to hit that speed for Sony's console. Until Sony finishes testing which SSDs will work internally, then releases a list of compatible drives and pushes the update, you'll have to stick with the storage space you have. Whew, bit of a read. But the PS5 is stuck at 667 gigs and will not have expandable SSD storage at launch. Bib, thoughts while I absolutely 100% bite into a bagel that is sat right in front of me?
So obviously this is we like to cover the good, the bad, the ugly on every single console, and this is obviously kind of ugly for the PlayStation 5. One thing that it doesn't necessarily mention, and I am thick when it comes to this kind of stuff anyway, so obviously you or anyone in the chat, if they could try and educate me on this is only for SSDs, isn't it? There is nothing to say that you still can't take your PlayStation 4 hard drive games and then play it on this. But it does mention something towards the latter stage of the article, saying, in more positive storage news, Sony released a video today detailing all the different ways to transfer your old PS4 games data to your new console, including using an Ethernet cable or attaching an HDD. So at least your backwards compatible games won't take up even more precious space. So that means that you can still play your PS4 games off of a hard drive on your PS5.
Yes, so I'm just hitting play on the video now. So it's showing you. I'll leave that playing as we speak. But I imagine that is the case, unless someone in the chat has already seen this or knows. I imagine you can transfer your data using HDD or Ethernet cable, as it says there. But as far as I remember reading, you can still use a HDD for previous gen games, backwards compact games. In the same way that we were kind of talking with the Xbox yesterday, you can play previous gen games. You just don't get all the benefits of having the faster loading times and using the equivalent of Xbox's velocity architecture. That SSD is where all the benefits are. And if you're playing off a HDD, you aren't using that.
And again, if you're suffering the performances via the HDD, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing at this moment in time. Like you said yesterday, we were talking about it. The hard drive stuff, I'd much rather have all my PS4 games that I know aren't going to get For instance, like if I was to take my hard drive out of this now, and it's got things like PES, Mafia, PGA Tour, things like that on my hard drive, they're probably not going to get a massive upgrade, if any, from my hard drive now. So if I was to just plug that in PS5, I'll play them no problems. I'm not missing out on anything. So that's probably the best way to do. But it's the word transfer that was ambiguous for me. Like, transfer, does it mean transfer as in it's transferring data from the hard drive so you can play it real time, or do I have to move it onto the PS5 hard drive to then be able to play it?
I'm not eating. You're eating.
That's why I was trying to carry on ranting. I can't see that you're eating, so I just take it as a gospel. But yeah, the word transfer for me was a bit ambiguous. I didn't know whether or not it meant transfer the data from the hard drive to the console, or playing the games from the hard drive via whatever it is method that they use.
Well, looking at the video, I have just taken it off screen. I'll put it back on just because it's showing now at the moment using a USB stick. But it has confirmed you can transfer data from one console to the next using things like an Ethernet cable, using your account. So by that would be using the cloud. So if you're saving your putting your saved data on the cloud, you can use your PlayStation account to upload it to the cloud and then download it again on the PS4. Use a USB to move it backwards and forwards, but within that it also did have a HDD. So I would imagine, I'm fairly sure I've seen it. I was about 90% sure, but now I've been questioned. My sureness drops down to about 50%, which is not sure at all. And Gary says you can still use external HDDs though, and transfer stuff across and vice versa. So there you go. So it was the same situation that we had with the Xbox Series S conversations yesterday. If you didn't see that, that was like, what did it come down to? 300 and something gig. After the storage after the storage space has been consumed by the OS, which was like 148 gig. So we're saying, okay, that's not great. You're not going to be able to fit much on it. But if you have a HDD plugged in, and you can just move stuff around, so you can stick your big swanky PS4 game onto the HDD. You can't use your big swanky PS5 game onto the HDD and just keep it there. But you can't play PS5 games off the HDD. They have to be off the SSD. Okay, as long as I can just put it there for storage, and then when I want to use it, I have to bring it back. I can put my PS4 games on my HDD and play them without the SSD benefits. But if I put them on the SSD, then I get a bit more faster loading times and so on. That's not too bad. I'm not too angry at that. I think it's the same thing yesterday. My thought process was that's just disappointing for the Xbox Series S. But by the time we got to the end of the article, I was like, actually, it's not really too bad, because people that have had issues with storage already probably have an SSD in some form, an HDD in some form already. So that gives them something that will plug the gap. I don't have any issues with the fact that there will be no SSD expansion at launch, though. I've seen a lot of people getting angry about this, and particularly, obviously, the fanboy wars will always wage. But a lot of fanboys yesterday were kind of like, PlayStation doesn't even have this at launch. How can they fail and not have this at launch? And it's like, if you actually paid attention and just weren't casting and throwing shit without finding out what was being said, Mark Cherney said this stuff that's in this now. I'm quite glad that this goes over it. In that deep dive presentation, that technological deep dive, he spoke about SSDs at length and the fact that they aren't using proprietary SSDs. They are using NVMe PCIe SSDs that have to have a certain write speed. He did also mention that the SSDs in the PS5 are so advanced that there aren't many SSDs out there that can do what they need it to be. They can't do what they need them to do. They won't be what they need them to be, and as such, those SSDs, the ones that will be applicable, the ones that will work, they will create a list of, this has been vetted and you can use this SSDs, but that won't be ready at launch. So the fact that this isn't in there doesn't surprise me. I mean, some people might be pissing going, yeah, but I wanted to try. It's like, okay, well, great, you wanted to try. Sony is saying it's not worth it, and just get over it. They said literally, what are we on? November, so 8 months ago, they said that you won't be able to do it. Why is it an issue now? It's not. It's not an issue. So, yes, no expandable SSDs, but if they don't know which ones out there will work, then why would you need to expand it? I'd rather wait until Sony go, yeah, okay, don't brick your PS5 by doing that. Actually, now you can, and this is what you can use. I'd rather have a green light to go and try things rather than just sticking, this looks like a bit like a memory stick, let's plug it in. Oh, nope, that was actually not a memory stick, no. So yeah. What are your thoughts while I eat?
Yeah, it's... I don't think the news... I mean, yesterday we didn't criticise Xbox at all for that comment that they made, because we knew that it's an acceptable thing, because we don't... These are very expensive consoles, and obviously a lot of people have probably invested a lot of money into the current gen consoles. So I know a lot of people have hard drives for their Xbox Ones and PS4s, so that they've been saving games to the hard drive, obviously, to either get expandable storage or a little bit more speed. I'm more happy about the news that's come out the last 2 days, that the fact that you can use those hard drives on your new console. So the money that you've invested, the time, the download of the game, you don't have to re-download these games again. You can literally just pick your hard drive up, take it from one console, put it in. I think the last 2 days have been perfect news for a lot of people. The last thing that they wanted to do was go out and buy a new console and then having to buy a bigger hard drive straight off the bat. One that was going to be like the Xbox One, for instance. We have no idea how much the cost of the PlayStation 5 one's going to be when it comes to upgrading your internal SSD storage. The Xbox One's already been priced at $220. That is a lot of money on top of the console that you've already bought. It's a lot of money. But the fact now that you're able to take your hard drive and use those, fair enough, you're not going to get the absolute perfect performance that you're going to get from your new console. But it swings and roundabouts at the moment. If you've got money to burn, you probably will be a little bit pissed. But in the grand scheme of things, I think this probably speaks to the majority of gamers, that you're not going to have to sit there on day one and re-download all of your games again, because that was my biggest fear. And the fact that I know now that if I don't have a hard drive, but if it did, I could just move them over. I'm more happy about my saves, because I didn't even think about that. I know most of them are probably in the cloud because it does it automatically, but I never even thought like booting up whatever game it is that I'm currently playing onto my PS5 and having to start again. That will piss me off. Obviously, if you are a PES fan, you will probably have to reinstall all of your patches again. We don't even know if it's going to work on the PlayStation 5 yet.
We do now.
Do we?
It was something was shared the other week saying about my club data obviously works. It's just like moving from a PS4 to another PS4, and option files and stuff will work. But just like you would, if I go to a different PS4 and play, I then have to reinstall the option file. But it does work, but I have to reinstall it.
That's
so it's like going to a fresh PS4. So it's kind of business as usual.
It's a 2-second job, innit? Yeah, it's a 2-second job to install that stuff. It's not like to fucking do it on the PC. Tell you that much for free. But yeah, having the storage and your hard drive being from one console to another, for me, is still a massive win. It may not be the news that everybody wanted to hear, but you save yourself a lot of money now in a year's time. I don't think it'll be a year. We're probably looking 3 months before they unlock that default style. You have a system update. They're going to be on top of this from day dot. If they know that they can make a little bit more money out of you down the road, they will absolutely be trying to provide you with expandable hard drive, one that's actually useful on your console. But yeah, I don't think this is the worst news day, Dot. Especially if you wanted to jump straight into playing your console rather than waiting a couple of hours to download. However, well, depending on your speeds, how long it'll take you to jump into a game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have to worry too much for the next gen in terms of anything that I will move forward will be a game save, which I can do through the cloud anyway, so that doesn't fuss me. I haven't really done anything with PES other than an option file, so that will just install anyway. I haven't started a Master League or Become a Legend because we've obviously got one ongoing on the channel. And I thought, do you know, I might start my own on 2021. But yeah, that in mind, there's no point starting it now when I'm so close. I'll just leave it a couple of weeks, and if I do want to start one, I can start it then on the next generation. Jobs are good one. So not a big issue. Not a big issue. So yeah, PUBG is all online in the cloud because it's a live service game. I don't have to worry about transferring that stuff over. And then yeah, anything else, yeah, there's neither arena there. So that's not a big issue for me. Gary says the majority of people won't need SSD expansion at launch, and I imagine the update for SSDs will come to the PS5 very soon after launch anyway. People lose their shit over stupid stuff. Yes, they do. Yeah. Yes, they do. I mean, I understand, because yesterday we were sat here, and I went through the thought process, but that's the thing, is there's a thought process that you go through. We will sit here and we will say one thing that we believe, and then over the course of the discussion that we have on the scoop with you guys in the chat, or just with each other, me and Bib, our opinions might change. And that's what it is. Yesterday I was like, 200 and something gig for a console when you've got, or 300 and something gig for a console when you've got Call of Duty that's 150 gig is ridiculous. You've got 2 games and that's it. Game over. As Iceman says, in other words, Cold War is all you'll fit on it. Exactly. Kappa. So we said that same sort of stuff anyway as a joke, and then you start going, now that's fucking ridiculous. How could you even do that? Starting to feel a bit like, yeah, that's just below par. And I was saying the Series S seemed like a very, very good prospect for me. But over time, that has been whittled away down to okay, I'm not even sure it would be anything for me. But then after we rationalised it and spoke it through in here, and it's like, okay, the proprietary SSD is stupidly expensive, so I'm not going to really need it for that. I'm not really going to want to get that. I'd rather get the X than the S and leave the proprietary for now. Okay. But then we started factoring in the fact that you can have a hard drive and you can move stuff around, and it's actually not that big a deal. If you are saving yourself 200 quid, if money is a big problem for you, then it's a necessary evil that you can... You're effectively paying for convenience, and that's something that is capitalism, really. That's what we have everywhere around us. If you pay more, you will get something that's more convenient. I did it just the other day with this, my Astro HDMI adapter, so I can use my Astros on the next gen. 35 quid. There's some cheaper ones, but I paid for convenience knowing that was gonna work straight out the box. It's not proprietary in terms of... Oh, well, it is proprietary. It's an Astro part, but it's like nobody else can make it. No, it's not that. You can buy other HDMI splitters for half the price, but I wanted that one because it was cheerful, knew it worked, jobs were good. I paid for the convenience, and that's kind of what you do with the X. If you buy the X, you can afford to pay for the convenience of having better technology within the system, a bigger hard drive within the system. If you're buying the S, then maybe you can't afford to pay for the convenience, or the convenience isn't worth the money that you'd have to spend for it. In that case, then it's still, all things considered, the S for me is still a decent enough system in itself. Danielle even said to me yesterday, if you were to get an Xbox, what would you get? Would you get an X or an S? I was like, I don't know. And we're talking in my specific circumstance. I have a PS4, I have a PC, and I will have a PS5. What Xbox would I get? Would I get the X or the S? And my instant reaction is, I'd like the X. But I have an S. I have a 1S right now, and that is more than I ever need because I don't really play on it. It's just there for when I need it, and I have the option of it, and it's mainly a Twitch box. So yeah, I think with that in mind, the S would still absolutely cover me for everything because I'm not going to use it as something that highly cycles through all the games anyway. Yes. Anyway, Madge says, no worries for me, no new PS5 coming to my house. I mean, we still believe. We've all got our fingers crossed for you, Madge, so you can stroll into your local Tesco, get your big Magic Man Smooth on, and just be like, hey. Hey. Call him Graham Convenience Day. That sounds like a toilet reference. Can I just use the conveniences? Speaking of which, not conveniences, but the Xbox Series S. We'll do a little bit of a rejig of the order. We did have this to mention a little bit later on, but I might as well mention it now. The lovely people from one of the best games websites out there. Just want to say, Next Gen Base have their Xbox Series S review. It went live yesterday. Written by a guy that has been on the channel. You may know Mr. Ben Ward, aka Winstano. And their review says tiny, cheap, worth it? ? We aren't going to go through the full article because naturally, as you would expect, with a console launch for the future generation, the article is a bit meaty. What I will do though is fast forward to the end. So spoilers, if you do want to read a full article review on your own, then feel free. We will just jump to give you the summary of what the guys at Next Gen Base are saying. But obviously, if you want to read it in full, feel free to go over there and check out the full review by those. So the final paragraph says, I'll be honest, I was very skeptical of the Series S when it was announced. After a few days with it, though, I'm kind of being turned around on it. It wouldn't be my first choice when picking up a new console, as I'm more one for all of the extra bells and whistles attached to the Series X. But if you want an affordable way to get to the Xbox ecosystem, and particularly Game Pass, then you can't go too far wrong. There are undoubtedly shortcomings, namely the 364 gigs of usable storage, but if you're willing to manage your game library a little bit more frugally, then you'll be fine. That absolutely is me. My bells and whistles box, as Ben was talking about in that, is the PS5 for me.
Thank you for the ice cream.
Lazar, thank you very much for the host, you beautiful guy. Oh, Lazar is believing. Hashtag
Hey.
Lazar is believing. Hey. Long time no see. Welcome back. So yeah, Ben has kind of nail on the head for exactly what that would come for me. I was saying, what console would I go for? I would always say, yeah, the better one. I'll take the X, please. But if I have to spend my own money on it and I'm not going to use it, then the S would probably cover me off for everything. So yeah. I mean, do you know what? I will copy and paste the link if you do want to give this a read. The guys at Next Gen Base would obviously appreciate the support. Not that Gary Clark guy though. I mean, you don't want to read his stuff. Just read Ben's and Nico's stuff, and the other guys over there just don't read the Gary Clark stuff. It's a bit dodgy. You know.
Obviously, if you are watching this on demand, it's going to be in the show notes in the description below.
Yes, nice. Okay, back to the PS5 then. We were going to include that review a little bit later on, but obviously we're just talking about the Series S, and it fitted nicely. Harsh. I apologise. Okay, fine, read some of his stuff, but judge it accordingly, is what I'm saying. Okay, moving ahead. Tom Ivid at VGC says, videos show how the PS5 DualSense controller's front plate can be easily removed and replaced. Controller teardown also provides a close look at how the adaptive trigger system works. Apparently, the adaptive trigger system is like pulling back on a board. Like, if you pull it,
Really?
Yeah, apparently. I've heard that before. I don't know. So yeah, the black front plate on a PlayStation 5 DualSense controller can be easily snapped on and off with little tool work required. There we go. The ease with which it can be removed and replaced, which is demonstrated in the videos posted below, suggests there could be a market for custom front plates. Just check out PlateStation. Oh, never mind. Actually, no, don't do that. YouTuber John Glasscock also claims that DualSense's new textured thumbsticks are the same size as the ones on the DualShock 4, meaning custom thumbsticks for the current gen controller work on Sony's new Pad 2. If that's not a YouTube thumbnail, I don't know what is. Well, look, new bit of technology, the word secret and an arrow pointing at something. Absolute clickbait. So a teardown of the DualSense controller by YouTube channel Tronics Fix also provides a close look at its adaptive trigger system, providing insight into how the feature works, comparing it to DualShock 4's relatively simple triggers. Obviously, we did cover this a little bit yesterday, but we didn't know about that bit, the faceplate bit. Anyway, the PS5 release, is that all the same stuff? Yes, it is. I don't want to watch the full video to get the insights. Have you watched the video?
I'd seen the Twitter video. That's what made me look for the article.
Okay. Okay. The rest of this article in words, without sitting and watching the video, the rest of the article in words covers stuff that we've kind of covered before, release dates and so on, and the PlayStation 5 news. But the gist at the top is that the black plate on the PS5 controller, so this area here, can be taken off pretty easily, and the thumbsticks can be interchangeable with thumbsticks from previous controllers. Bib, as a man that's watched the Twitter video, thoughts?
Mm-hmm. It's a very. I mean, it was already clear after PlayStation went after PlateStation or Customize My Plates or yourPlaystation5skins.com. It's now completely obvious why they've gone after them. It's interesting that it's taken so long, considering people have had the controllers a lot longer than they've had the units sent out by Sony. That it's taken them so. Then again, would you even think about taking? Well, these guys. I mean, I mentioned this maybe a couple of weeks ago about the likes of Linus Tech Tips and all the other channels, Spawn Wave Media, who will just take apart consoles just to see what they'll look like. It's interesting that it's taken so long for them to be able to take the little plates off the front, but it just shows now that PlayStation absolutely have something up their sleeves now, where they're going to be supplying you with customizable controllers and customizable plates for your console. There's no other reason why they wouldn't. You're going to be able to buy a Spider-Man faceplate for your controller and your console now as well.
I mean, the question that I would have is, okay, it can easily be snapped off, but what do you guys think? What do you guys think? I mean, we know that the faceplates on the PlayStation 5 can be lifted off. We now know that effectively the faceplate on the controller can be lifted off. Do we think that that is something that PlayStation will do? Will PlayStation allow you to fully customize your controllers? Will they sell aftermarket parts? And then the next step is, do we think there's a potential that, I know Xbox has, is it Xbox Labs or Custom Labs or something? I can't remember what it's called. The Xbox has a custom controller set. Naturally, I'm not an Xbox user primarily, so I've never investigated that. But I know I can go online, and just like Nike ID, where you can customize your trainers, you can do that with an Xbox controller. Will we see PlayStation going down that sort of avenue if we know that it has the ability to swap parts of the controllers off? It'd be interesting to see. Lazar, push check.
Yeah. I think so, yeah. I think it's an easy win for them. Being able to sell something as measly as a little bit of rubber on the front of your controller, and they'll sell it for like 15-20 quid, and it'll cost them like 2 quid to create, if that. I think it's a massively easy win for them to try and get money, because this is the cheap shit tat that you're going to be getting next to your I don't know, vouchers at the till at game and stuff like that. Customize your faceplate. So everyone remembers that's it, depending on how old you are. We've talked about it many times. The Xbox 360 days, you couldn't go into a game shop, not just game the brand, as in a video game shop, and not see these customizable plates on the wall. It's just easy shit to try and push out.
Madge says, "You won't believe what we found on the PS5 controller." Sticking with the clickbait titles of the video. The only follow-up to that one is doctors didn't even know this was possible. Fire face emoji. Background explosions and arrows and hands and stuff. Yes, nice.
You won't believe what this person looks like now.
Oh my god. Yeah, Iceman says, "I'd only do it if I had the money to replace the pad if I fucked up." I think that's probably part of it. Not necessarily so much the money, because the likes of the Linus Tech Tips in the world that do the hardware teardowns have money. They have money. They can buy another controller, so that's not the issue for them. I think the reason we're probably seeing it now is they only had one, and the launch was so far away, so they were just like, okay, I'm not going to pull that apart just yet. But now that everyone's getting them, if I do manage to break it, there's a good chance that I can get another one from Sony fairly quickly, or from somewhere fairly quickly. So they were probably being held at arm's length from their PR guys in terms of stock availability, whereas now it's probably a little bit more freely available because everyone's had the first wave. And then obviously as a result of that first wave, embargoes, there's probably more stricter controls on it because of embargoes, but now that embargoes are being passed, it makes it a little more accessible. So now it's at the point where, okay, I know I can get another DS5, so I can rip the shit out of this one. The DualSense controller is in bits, ta-da! And I think it was yesterday's article, one of the guys actually broke something pulling it apart. And yeah, that's part of the reason why. You'd be like, look, brand new controller, this is amazing, new tech, snap. Oh, fuck. Well, I'm not playing on my PS5.
Evans seems to do that all the time. Austin Evans' YouTube channel, as soon as he gets new tech, he dives into it. Chances are he's going to break that motherfucker. But he's got like 10 million subscribers on YouTube, so the chance are he's probably not just got the one.
He does it on purpose. That's it. Just a
absolutely. You know what's happening. That's why they send him 6 controllers rather than 3.
Gary says Sony are in control. Yeah, my only like thought process is, and now I'm purely thinking from an aesthetic point of view, is does this article have a picture of the PS5 in? Kind of. Yeah. So let me bring this article back on screen. So this is a link off to another article down here. You can see a PS5, and it's talking about the faceplate sellers, which is quite good because that's kind of where my point is going. So you can see the middle of the console here. That black bit with the blue light remains the same. That won't change. These faceplates, though, which are now black on this console, can be popped off and changed. So they would be white. This has been swapped to black. However, if you look at the console, the controller, so you can see this one that's been torn down here. It starts off with a black faceplate on it, and then you take the black faceplate off and just leave the white on the controller. So if Sony are in control, I've only just seen Sony. I've only just got it control. You got me, GG. So if Sony are in control of the monetizing side of it, if Sony have done this on purpose with the idea that, oh yeah, we can make it so you can customize your controllers, then why does the white bit of the console come off, but the black bit of the controller come off? Usually, you'd kind of have one ever present. The colours are kind of the wrong way around in that sense. So yes, maybe they're not in control. I could think of a few more words, but I don't think we really need to pad this out. Okay. I mean, there's pros and cons for everything. I mean, the pro is joy, con is the pun. Hey, Joy-Con. Joy-Con. Okay, anyway, I apologise. I'll stop.
Free to switch us up.
Mad says, if you were born between these dates, here's why the PS5 controller is for you. Gasp. End subscription. No, we just said almost positive things about your articles, Gary. No.
How disrespectful of you.
So, do you know what? I think we've finished talking about the PS5. Should we talk about, I don't know, pre-ordering the PS5? Nice.
Why not?
Let's do that. Yes.
I can hear someone at the door. One sec.
Okay, I will continue reading. Graham needs a padded room after those jokes. Hey. I appreciate that. Cheers, Iceman. Next article, though, written by Tom Ivan at VGC, says Walmart will be taking new PlayStation 5 orders online next week. Update! Retailer will also have Xbox Series X and S consoles for sale. So if you're in the US, you might not be out of luck at this point in time, as US retailer Walmart will be taking new PlayStation 5 orders online next week. Sony confirmed earlier on Thursday that all PS5 sales at launch will be online only, with no units available in stores on November 12th. Excuse me. While it's unclear how widespread new PS5 stock will be, Walmart will be offering customers several chances to buy the console on launch day. So I can see a tweet here. I'm going to read it. We might get some repetition in the article. If that is the case, I apologise. So this tweet from Walmart, at Walmart on Twitter, says, the day you've all been waiting for is almost here. The PS5 is coming 11/12. So the 12th of the 11th, obviously, the American release date, for online orders only. If you missed out on pre-orders, you'll have 4 chances to order throughout the day. 12 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And then we have an update. Walmart will also have a limited amount of Xbox Series X and S consoles available to buy online on November the 10th. So, once again, another tweet from @Walmart says the next generation of gaming is coming. The Xbox Series X and S will be available online on November the 10th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, meaning that you have 5 days to practice your F5 skills. Winky emoji. That video is actually a really good video in there. I'm going to hit play on it while I read the story. If you haven't seen that video, it's a good sort of... well, I'm an old man now. I'm a man that has been through the younger years of his life playing consoles. Now has a little one that he started to play consoles. So this video absolutely rings true to me. So I'll hit play on the video whilst I read the article. So the original story continues. In a statement published on Thursday, Sony Interactive Entertainment's communications boss Sid Schumann said that the online-only sales measure had been put in place to keep customers and retailers safe among rising cases of COVID-19. It's currently unclear exactly which countries Sony's statement applies to, but both its US and European arms have shared the message. In the interest of keeping our gamers, retailers, and staff safe amidst COVID-19, today we are confirming that all day of launch sales will be conducted through online stores of our retail partners, he says. Those who have pre-ordered for pickup at their local retailer should still be able to do so at their designated appointment time under the retailer's safety protocols, Schumann added. Earlier on Thursday, Sony Japan confirmed there will be no further consoles available to purchase on launch day in the country. The rest of it we've read already, so that's fine. Did you catch the full article? Have you read the article, Bib? Do you know what the gist of it is?
Yeah, I read the article, but more importantly, Graham, I've had something delivered.
Oof, what is this? I'm
PS5.
Oh my god, let's go Big Bib, let's go Big Bib.
It's the PS5, Graham. I think I'm the first one in the whole of Manchester to get one.
I think you need to bring it back on screen though, and hold it up, and then do a YouTuber face, and I will do one too. There we go. Okay, well there's a screenshot for the YouTube video.
No, it's not actually one of those. It's the thing that I told you that I was going to buy on Tuesday, and it's already arrived. It wasn't meant to be here till Tuesday. But this will absolutely ring true to the nerds. Boom.
I see. When you said the thing you were going to buy on Tuesday, I completely forgotten what it was. So I'm sat there going, I don't remember. Hey. So there you go. Baby has a retro electro mini Mega Drive. I think.
So basically, I don't know if anybody else can actually see that, but it's on the back. It's basically a scalable model of the Mega Drive and what used to come in the control. So it used to be a controller. I'll put it a bit closer because I think the light's glaring. Sonic the Hedgehog. Obviously the controller and the unit itself, but it's on like a little stand, so it's going to go on a little shelf behind me. Tenner on eBay. They went out of business, so they're trying to get rid of them. So if you are into this nerdy shit, get yourself over there. Get yourself one.
I think we need an unboxing. Next time you're streaming, we need a live unboxing, Bib.
Okay.
So yeah, so that way I can decide whether I want to go and spend a tenner as well. But yes, back to the article. Walmart will be taking new PS5 orders online next week. So they will have 4 different points throughout the day where the PS5 can be ordered online. And they will have some extra Xbox stock as well, but only for 1 point. Thoughts, Bib?
Yeah, I mean, as I've just seen Gary's comment, good luck trying to get one. There may be riots happening in the next couple of days. If that doesn't quite tip you over the edge, trying to get into Walmart on the day of pre-orders, well, the first opportunity they can go in and try and buy these consoles, it will probably tip you over the edge. It's good that they're giving you enough time now to let you know that they're gonna have some back in stock again. It gives you a little bit of insight to say actually we'll be getting more stock in before Christmas, because was it yesterday or the beginning of the week? We mentioned that you're probably not going to get a new gen console this side of 2020. I think the earliest opportunity probably would be around springtime next year. This may be a nice little indication now that there will be some stock available for either the Xbox or the PlayStation 5 in the coming weeks. So to keep your eyes peeled, try not to spend all of the money that you potentially would have done on scalpers. Wait a little bit. You may be able to try and get your hands on one.
And discussing now is live. Walmart, more PS5 online orders. Yeah, I think if that's... I mean, this is Walmart. specifically, but yeah, you kind of have to extrapolate that there will be a little bit of this in the UK. You've got to feel, right. So yeah, avoiding the scalpers where possible. I mean, I hate scalpers. I absolutely hate scalpers. So using Enix, I don't know if he's in here. He does linger fairly often, but he's a busy boy these days. But using Enix as an example, he's having to pay 700 quid for a PS5 from a friend. So he's been scalped by a friend. So whilst that is horrendous, and I do not ever condone scalping, I understand it. I completely understand it, because spending that 700 quid is the word that I mentioned earlier, convenience. He knows he's got a guaranteed PS5 there by spending that 700 quid.
Yeah.
So scalpers are horrendous, but if you're willing to spend over the odds and essentially be taken for a fool, you can guarantee yourself a console. So I understand it. I understand why people want to go for it. Fair enough. It does satisfy an urge. Madge saying, hang on, am I right in thinking that the UK PS5 is out the same day as Cyberpunk 2077? Madge, no, it was. It was out on the same day, but it's no longer not. Cyberpunk 2077 is not out until the 10th of December now. They were on the same day, but Cyberpunk was pushed back last week before. So they were. It was. I mean, that's not a coincidence. It's a next-gen game, but to make sure that everyone can play it on every format, you've got to feel they've just put it out on the PS5 day so that everyone with an Xbox and a PS5 can play at the same time. But yeah, it got pushed back anyway, so that's not never here nor there. But yes, if you are after a console, if Walmart will be getting new orders online, do not be surprised to see a small batch of stock that was going to instantly sell out. I mean, Walmart did make reference of getting used to pressing the F5 key, refreshing sites to see if you can get your orders in. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be a horrendously frustrating day for anyone that does want one. The chances are you're not going to get one, but you are going to be frustrated. But it's the hope that kills you, and a lot of people will still have a hope that they can get one, so they will go in and be disappointed by it. It will be that system, but someone will get it. And that's where the hope comes in. But I wouldn't be surprised if Argos or Amazon or Curry's PC World or any retailer, maybe even Game, if not more akin to Walmart, maybe you'd see Asda or Tesco or Sainsbury's getting a bit of stock that they would put online to avoid that sort of rush in store. There won't be a lot. It could happen. I mean, it does give you a little bit of hope. But yeah, just don't bank on it. That's all we can say. Don't bank on it. Keep your eyes open and try. Assume you're not going to get one, and then you won't be disappointed. That way, the hope will be nice, but short-lived. Whereas if you're hoping and praying that you can get one, it's just not going to be. It's not going to be anything that you can bank on. But yeah, Gary's comment that you just mentioned. Good luck to people trying to skew one of those in the US next week. That's going to be an absolute shit show, like the first batch of pre-orders were. That is the sentiment that I was kind of going for there. Gary's pretty much nail on the head. Mad saying that we had just aged me, thanks. My bad. He also said, so is that Mega Drive, is it a model or does it play games?
No, it is literally just a model. The company that created them originally, Retro Electrico, they wanted to be able to create more than just Mega Drive. They wanted to do SNES, NES, Dreamcast, GameCube, and it was all like these scalable models. So I think the actual size of the console, but they just was going to be on stands, so you can demo them and put them on your shelves or whatever without having to buy the original unit. But unfortunately, they made this one, and not enough people knew about it or bought it, so they went out of business. So they're just trying to get rid of all the old stock. So I found it on eBay from the seller who paid it for £10. So I bought this one. It's a shame, really, because I didn't know about it. Therefore, I would never have been able to buy it. It's only because I've seen someone on Twitter talk about it that they got it for the same price, so I went and had a look myself. So they obviously haven't marketed it correctly, but yeah, nice little throwback to one of the greatest. I think this was the console that got me into gaming, so nice little throwback.
That was the console that was supposed to get me into gaming, as I've mentioned previously. I played on my cousin's Mega Drive, went home, told my dad that I wanted a Mega Drive for Christmas, and got a NES. So it was the console that got me into gaming. It wasn't the console that I first started gaming on. Cheers, Dad.
Yeah, nice throwback. For tenner, you don't miss a tenner, do you? And it'll look nice on me. Funnily enough, it's a black stand behind me, and with black desk next to me, black monitors next to me, white PS5. So that'd have been nice.
If that was Bibby's PS5 being delivered, we'd have heard the forklift backing up outside. Beep, beep.
Do that.
Oh no, I've read that one. Oh yeah, the 3 week delay. Forgot about that. Yeah. Cyberpunk is coming out on February 25th, 2077 now. Touche. I thought it was February 29th, 2077. Oh. I thought it was Kevin's Mega Drive we played first. It wasn't it Stuart's. It was Stuart's Mega Drive, but we then played on Kevin's Amstrad Atari thing, whatever it was. I can't remember. All I remember is playing on Stuart's Mega Drive when we used to go to Auntie Diane's. Anyway, David's my brother, as you can tell from that conversation. That it's a little bit on a tangent, so we'll pause it there and move ahead. So one final news story we will jump through before we get set for Masters of the League. A little bit different. So we've been talking about next-gen consoles. Let's just split things up and have something a little bit different, as Fortnite will reportedly be playable on iOS again through Nvidia's GeForce Now. Whew, not quite as easy as just opening the Fortnite app, though. This is written by, wow, that's a name, Jacob Kastrenakes? Jake K on Twitter says, that's for The Verge. Fortnite might come back to iPhones and iPads later this year. Yeah, that's what it says, Jake_K, that's his name now. Fortnite might come back to iPhones and iPads later this year, but not quite the way you're used to. The BBC reports that Fortnite will be available to play through Nvidia's cloud gaming service GeForce Now. The service hasn't been announced for iOS yet, but the BBC reports an announcement is expected before the holidays. I'm just going to stop for a second without reading the rest of the news article, because GeForce Now hasn't had the best start in terms of it's a really good service, and it was given backing by the likes of Ubisoft and Epic, which are huge backers in terms of, yeah, we love this service, we love what it stands for. But if Apple doesn't want Fortnite on iPhones, and GeForce Now has already had some issues with people stopping it, I'm not sure. Anyway, jumping back in, GeForce Now will supposedly run inside of Safari, the web browser, rather than as a standalone app because of Apple's restrictions on gaming streaming services that make it onerous to support them through the App Store. The service allows you to stream your personal library of games to laptops, mobile phones, and other devices that might not otherwise be able to run them well, or at all. A standard Founders plan currently costs $5 per month, though you can pay you can play for limited time periods for free. It's an absurd, hacky situation that's the result of two companies, Epic Games and Nvidia, working around Apple's arbitrary restrictions on iPhone and iPad apps. Following a public spat with Microsoft over refusal to support its xCloud service, Apple said in a statement that developers can choose to reach all iPhone and iPad users over the web through Safari and other browsers on the App Store, implying such a workaround would be allowed. Apple also updated its developer guidelines with specific rules cloud gaming services could follow to reach iOS players, involving individual game submission and review, though Microsoft still called the compromise a bad experience for consumers. Microsoft has since said it plans to bring xCloud to iOS via Safari sometime next year. The result of a potential GeForce Now browser... scroll too far. The result of a potential GeForce Now browser solution is that Fortnite would be available, but only for those who jump through the hoops needed to set up Nvidia's streaming service on an iPhone. In that scenario, Fortnite might look better thanks to higher fidelity graphics because it's streamed from a PC, but there's no guarantee it'll run as responsively as the native Fortnite mobile app does, given that it'll be inside of a browser and could face latency issues and other snags. Apple banned Fortnite in August after the game's developer Epic secretly added an in-app purchase option that offered lower prices but didn't give Apple its typical 30% cut. The two companies have been locked in a legal battle since, with Epic claiming that Apple maintains a monopoly over the App Store and its payment systems. Apple so far has won a ruling that allowed it to continue blocking Fortnite. GeForce Now formally exited beta and launched its paid tier. Do you know what? We'll leave that because we know the background. We can fill that in as we chat. But Fortnite could potentially be back on iOS thanks to GeForce Now. Bib, thoughts?
Well, GeForce Now needed something to try and get the reputation back, and trying to partner up with Fortnite to go... Well, is it against Apple at this point? To try and partner up with them to try and make this playable on the iOS. It's a nice little partner to get involved in, but we'll see how long this lasts for. I feel like anyone who touched Epic or tried to get just to try and be in cahoots with Epic at some point, will probably face the wrath of Apple and their iOS systems. I'm not sure how this is going to end for them. GeForce, we've covered a few times, have pissed a lot of people off. But yeah, this is definitely one where I think they're trying to give a wink, shall we say, to Apple and the iOS devices to try and get this running. I mean, I don't know this. I don't know the figures of how many people actually played Fortnite mobile, especially on Apple devices. It must have been enough for them to make noise about it. But has it been missed? I don't know. Will it be welcomed? Definitely not by Apple. But to people who used it as their daily runner, I'm not too sure. But I mean, it's definitely good for GeForce because they're having conversations with Epic, which is going to set them up nicely for potentially a lot of other things going forward. But it's just at what consequence?
Just trying to find stats. No, I was trying to find a quick stat for how many mobile players, and it came up as 350 million. But I think that's just in general all players. Finger in the wind stats then. Yeah, so finger in the wind stats. If it is 350 million, using the data that we got yesterday, thanks to Robo Daniel's news article, we saw that console spend. This is completely finger in the wind maths. It could be completely wrong. Mm-hmm. Console spend and PC spend put together was the same as mobile spend, roughly. So if 350 million players, does that mean exactly half of that is mobile players? Probably not. Probably not. But you have to feel it's over 100 million. If it's something in that sort of size, because those 350 millions, if it's going off accounts, people could be, one person could play on mobile and console and PC. I mean, we don't necessarily have the data, but all we know is it's a metric shit ton. That's what it is. There's a lot of players that play on mobile. But yeah, I mean, the fact that it's coming back, I do like this. I mean, it is interesting though that it's a difficult situation. It's a difficult situation because you'll speak to a lot of people, and they will say, yeah, well, Apple make the system, Apple make the phone. You want to be on that system, you have to pay Apple's dues. You have to pay the toll to cross the bridge, which I completely understand, and I am on board with. The issue is, though, once it gets to a certain size, Apple become beyond reproach, and there are laws in place that stop that from happening. They are tricky laws, though, in terms of you can't just go, you're too big now, you must stop when we get all your business. That's not how it works. But the laws at that very top end are there to try and stop that antitrust and competition laws to make sure that people can't be taken for a ride and pay over the odds because, business has just evolved that way. And it kind of has evolved that way to the point where it's the tricky balancing act. Have Fortnite and Epic done some dirty stuff in the letters of the law? Yes, but are the letters of the law correct? And it's that whole debate that we've gone through it before, so we're not going to jump back into that debate again. But Apple have annoyed Microsoft and Google and Epic and Nvidia now. Nvidia are at the point where they're willing to go, okay, I'm going to make this happen. That's three substantial technical and gaming brands there. Microsoft, Xbox, Fortnite, Epic Games Store, and the Epic Games Store and Fortnite and everything else that comes with that. And then you've got Nvidia, who make pretty much the premier tier of graphics cards out there. Obviously, there may be other graphics card users that will have an argument against that. I mean, I've got a GeForce graphics card sat right there in my PC. So yeah, I'm on board with all of those brands essentially in some capacity, and Google as well. And the same thing with Google. I mean, Stadia can still get in the fucking bin, but still, Google have issues with it. So the number of names stacking up to go against Apple in that sort of fight is quite interesting to see. Where do you guys in the chat stand? How do you feel about Epic trying to go against the man? How do you feel about them going against the system? Because it is a difficult one. I mean, on the surface, it looks like, well, you're just being stroppy bitches. You've bought into a system and you want your cake and eat it. But when you drill into it, obviously there's a bit more to it than that, which is where you start to get the grey areas. It's not as black and white as it seems. So what do you guys think? Jumping into the chat, David says, I thought it was Kevin's... Oh, yeah, Miga, yes it was. Yeah. I wonder if this will get blocked by Apple as an attempt to circumvent their decision. Well, that's my thought process as well. I kind of feel like if Apple, though, have said, well, yeah, you can play games in browser, you just can't have an app, then Apple surely shouldn't want to try and block this. That is just going to make them look shit, especially if they've come out and said that previously. But then I start, like, whilst reading that article out, my brain was going, okay, if you can suddenly start to launch full cross-play interactive experiences using Safari on your mobile phone, if the technology and the eyes for the for development and basically hacking is going that way, does that mean that Apple will then start to include more stringent controls? Because if everyone's looking at bringing things and getting into your phone through your browser, surely that weakens the whole ecosystem, or at least brings more attention to potential exploits and flaws within Safari. Does that make it that your phone in future could be open to more attacks through people trying to get into your phone through the back end of systems like Fortnite's matchmaking lobby stuff on the Unreal Engine? I don't know. I mean, proper moral panic stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It's there's so many thoughts that I kind of haven't evolved enough. GeForce having their bite of the apple. Hey! Epic signed a contract and broke it, says Iceman. I think you said that same angle when we spoke about it previously as well. I completely get it. Gary says, I agree with Epic, to be honest. I'm an Apple user, but some of the stuff they're doing is shady. Some of the crap they let through in the App Store is what they should be going after, not this. See, I see both sides of it. I don't necessarily... I mean, just like Madge, I agree with both on this. I don't necessarily side with one or the other. I see both potentials. If you want it black and white, Iceman has a point. But the thing with law is it's only black and white because the law says so. The law isn't always right in terms of laws change. Laws change depending on the time. So yeah, in black and white, writing, it is right. But should it be right? That's the question. Just because something is right now doesn't necessarily mean that it should be right tomorrow. Progression in that sort of sense. But yeah, that
it genuinely comes down to personal preference, doesn't it? Because Epic will be trying to get the best deal that they can broker, whereas Apple will be like, we've got you tied down to a contract. It's you sign this with us. It's absolutely the ball is in our court kind of thing. If they're tied to the contract, you're tied to the contract. They've decided to break that. That is now where the grey area comes in. Like, I imagine we haven't heard much from this recently, so I imagine the court cases are still going on. But it's a very difficult thing to try and get around because Epic are such a good company in terms of you want to work with them because they are going to make a name for you regardless. It's like Eminem back in the early 2000s. You do a song with him, you're onto a winner. You set yourself up for a life. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. I still don't see where I sit with this one. For me, I kind of side with Apple because they had a contract. It's up to them to honour it. If they break it, that's entirely up to Epic's fault. But I understand why Epic are trying to do things. This is such a so fast. It's a weird statement to make. But I from the way Epic have gone about it, I think it's very the way that Donald Trump's going about his election now. They know that what they're doing is wrong, but they're trying to rally around enough people to try and get support, even though they know what they're doing is wrong.
See, I think that's a bad analogy, because the general consensus is that what Donald Trump is doing is wrong and is selfish. I'm not saying there isn't any selfish stuff in there for Epic. They will make shitloads of money by changing the laws and stuff. But Donald Trump doesn't necessarily, from my perspective, bring any positives. So I think that's kind of flawed. So
okay, I was wondering where you was going with that. So GG.
A question then, a slightly different question. And probably a little bit more emotive. South Africa had the apartheid, where black people and white people weren't allowed to eat in the same places. There was different classes and different laws. That was the law. That was acceptable. That people made protests and took steps to change that over time. If that law should have been the law because it was the law. Things would never have got changed without some feathers being ruffled. So, yeah, they are benefiting from this being epic, from ruffling these feathers. But that as an example of laws and contracts and legally binding things being put in place that aren't right. That's where the grey area is. I know it's a whole world away. We're talking video games on your mobile phone. It's not the same as people being able to eat with their family in a restaurant. It's a completely different thing. But the concept of changing laws that are in place that shouldn't be is where it comes into it. Should that law be in place? Just because it is, should it be in place?
Yeah. Well, in that respect, yeah, obviously it does take people to stand up, be counted, and try to fight for change.
And that's where it is.
Yeah.
They've still signed the contract though. So, and that's where I don't know which way I balance with it.
But yeah, when it comes down to stuff like this, as consumers, it's always down to heart. It's not for our fight. It's not our fight. It's not our battle to fight. As consumers, it's entirely up to how we feel about this kind of stuff. It's not. There's no grey area in terms of us because we're just commentating on the news of a legal battle that will be taking place. So for us, it's always down to head and heart. We don't necessarily have to get involved in the nitty gritty of what contracts have been broke elsewhere. It's entirely where we sit on the other side of the fence. But I am more than happy to get splinters in my ass on this one and just watch it from afar.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously, just to point out, playing devil's advocate, I have Fortnite and I would like to play Fortnite in all the places, and I also have an iPhone. So yeah, do you know what? I don't have a vested opinion. I haven't gone either way. I do see this, both sides of the story. I'm not that bothered enough. Maybe if it was something that I played all the time, then maybe I'd have a bit more of a vested interest. But yeah, I just want it to be sorted whichever way it goes. I do see Fortnite's stance as trying to be progressive. I do think there is better systems out there for developers and consumers than what Apple does give. But I still own an iPhone, so yeah, swings and roundabouts. Anyway, there we go. For Fortnite, I don't care at all, but if this spills into other companies and products, then that's when I'll be bothered. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it nearly did at some point, which was almost Apple's doing, which is that was a bit harsh when they tried to take away all Epic's developer accounts, which meant that anything that used the Unreal Engine was going to be struck. So they basically tried to go, okay, if you come after us, we're going to take out your family. That's almost like mafia level stuff. Tony Soprano going after your niece kind of thing. Yeah. You want to go for us? We'll take out Konami. They're using the Unreal Engine 5 for the next PES, so you guys are fucked. So yeah, I mean, thankfully the court stopped all that shit happening straight away, so we don't have to worry about that kind of thing. That's assuming that Trump actually believes he's doing something wrong. In Trump's mind, he's never wrong. Trump doesn't have a mind. God damn it. Fatmadev says, I'm against Apple, but I'm biased because of Apple's denial of the right to repair, going as far to make iPhones become useless after changing a button without going through them and paying to get full functionality back. Gary says, I like the whole Apple and xCloud stuff. The only reason why it's like the whole Apple and xCloud stuff. The only reason why Apple blocked that is because they can't review every game, which is absolute rubbish. They review thousands of crap and shady apps and games that get added to the App Store on a daily basis, so they can do it for xCloud. It's baffling. Every single game needs to be put on and needs to be like they would need to be submitted individually, which would then require, if those games need to be tweaked, that would require each developer making changes specifically for those one game to tie in with Apple's TOS. It's not manageable. Even if Apple could review them, it's putting, for Microsoft's benefit, effectively, requests on every developer potentially out there. So if PES wants to be on it, Konami could, for their game to be on Game Pass on mobile, they'd have to tweak one wording or line of code or something to suit their classification system, which is bizarre. I'm neutral on this. Both companies do shady shit, but Epic signed a contract agreeing to terms they didn't like and then broke that contract. Epic lose the argument right there. But that's where I come. I mean, that's black and white. That is black and white. Completely, what you've just said, factually correct. Until they lose the argument right there, bit. They lose the argument in a court of law, which is governed by black and white stuff. But that's where we get round to is the law right? The law is in place, and that's where most people go. Well, it's the law. The law is the law. I get that, but laws change based on time. The only thing that makes something right or wrong is time. Not necessarily the law, the time. Drinking is fine, and then it's illegal, and then it's fine again. The law changes according to time. So that's where the whole it's a sociology slash philosophical question, really, more than a legal question. Is what is right? What isn't right? But anyway, let's put a pin in that, because, you know, I don't have my Socrates hat on today. I do have my Masters of the League hat on, though. Fuck yeah! So we are going to play some PES now. Feel free to stick around on the channel. We are going to wrap things up. This is the end of another episode of The Scoop. And a pointer, this is going to be the last scoop for a week, because this guy, not only has he just ditched us this morning to get his Electric Avenue on, honestly, God, he's gonna lock down to Electric Avenue. Infection rates are higher. Sorry, I've seen it all over my social media. Everywhere I look, someone's sharing it, thinking they are a step ahead of everyone else. Anyway, we've got no scoop next week because Bibby's off. So next week will just be a full week of PUBG, all day, every day, pretty much. So yeah, feel free to join us for that. Nice. Yes, before we do disappear, though, we're going to jump off and come back on with Masters of the League. Couple of reminders that we are closing in on 2,000 followers. We are 13, 17 followers away, something like that. I can't remember what the number was. So we're very close. When we hit 2K, we will do a giveaway.
1983.
17 followers. There we go. So when we hit 2K, we will do a 2K giveaway. We'll include a number of prizes in that for one lucky person. That will be a social media prize for everyone to enter. If you are a subscriber and you remain subscribed on the 7th of November, we will have another giveaway. We will announce that on Monday next week. It's pretty much been announced already. We've spoiled it, teasers and all that stuff. But, you know, well, we haven't spoiled it, we've teased it. But yeah, that will be announced on Monday next week. So feel free to come back on Monday and see how we get into that. Anyway, Bib, before we disappear, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, thank you very much for joining us again today and this week. It's been a great week. I mean, me and you said this on Tuesday, but it's the last 3 weeks maybe we've had absolutely banging shows every single day, and that obviously is in due part to you guys joining, getting involved with the conversations. Everyone has an opinion. We all differ, but we have one common thing in common. One thing in common. We all fucking love video games. So yeah, it's been an absolute banging 3 weeks. I mean, we're over a year old now, and we're making big strides in terms of how people actually want to listen and contribute to this. So again, thank you very much for each and every one of you that are doing that. I'm not going to be here next week, so don't bother sending anything in because it'll just sit there for a week. But appreciate it, guys, and I'll see you all in at least a week.
Yeah. Iceman saying, "Fuck that shit, I'm out." Only joking, by the way. Kappa. No, I genuinely appreciate the contrast. The best thing about a show like this is having people that have contrasting opinions. Don't be contrary for the sake of it, because that's what we do. We are contrary for the sake of playing devil's advocate, looking at things from a different perspective to try and see. It's only when you have those conversations the narrative progresses and you might see something from a different perspective. But I love the fact that you're throwing in your opinion in. I mean, it's completely bullshit and you're a wrong person for it, so get out of it. I'm joking. I love the fact that you're throwing your opinion in about where you see Apple sitting on that. The fact that you have an opinion is fine, absolutely fine, whether I agree with it or not. I mean, I do, and I don't agree with it. I don't have an opinion, as mentioned on this, but the fact that you have an opinion allows us to start to expand on that in terms of, do you have the opinion? What could change that opinion? And it's the fact that we're all, I mean, the fact that I don't even have an opinion and is willing to be shaped by you guys as well as my own conversation, the same for Bib as well. That's what makes this show pretty good, is the fact that we can have conversations. They can get heated, but yeah, at the end of the day, we are just game nerds that want to talk about games, so it's nice.
Yeah.
In before next week is full of juicy gaming news. Well, we'll talk about it playing PUBG.
It's bound to happen. It's a week leading up to the console coming out. It's absolutely bound to happen.
Yeah, 100%. The worst thing is I can't multitask. So, like, as I think it was Bib or someone else mentioned, when I'm playing PUBG, and you can tell when I'm in the middle of a shootout because you say, 1 second. So, what do you think about the new PS5 game? Oh, that new thing that's just come out that they've announced is, and that's what I thought about that. Nice. Anyway, that was slightly weird noise to end on, but we will do that. We'll end here. If you are watching on YouTube, please feel free to use the comments down below. There has been a number of people doing that this week, which has been nice to see. So feel free to keep commenting on the videos. We do respond to every comment down below. Nice. Do you know what? It's your last scoop for a week. Well, it'll be my last scoop for a week, but it's your fault. So over to you, babe.
Well, guys, again, thank you very much for watching. And there's 2 words for you.
Suck it.
Everyone wants to suck it, but it's not. Stay frosty!